Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is Sunday and it is match day review showtime. And as you can see, unfortunately, this week you're going to have to just put up with me and my dulcet tones because Rhys is unavailable. I've asked other Gills fans who are unfortunately unavailable and I could not track down an opposition fan to join me either. So probably won't be as long as usual and you'll just have to put up with my opinion. So please, of course, do feel free if you agree or disagree with anything to comment down below at the end of this video or interact with me on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. We'll try and stick to a similar format as we use when we do have guests on. And I just think as a general overview of the game, it was a horrible watch in horribly hot conditions for both sides. I didn't think either team were at their best. We saw flashes from both sets of players of stuff that they can do, but generally it was turgid and attritional and a battle. But yeah, one side, I think, looked like they might win the game, and that was us. And ultimately, we managed to find a way to get the job done. Right, let's go right back to 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon. The team news came out, and there were some changes for the Gills, and we lined up as follows. It was Jake Turner in goal. It was a back four of Shay Alexander, the returning Connor Masterson, Shadrach Ogie, and Scott Malone. It was then Robbie McKenzie and the captain Sean Williams in front flanking that back four. Then a trio of Connor Mahoney, George Lapsley back from injury and Johnny Williams supporting lone striker Macaulay Bonne, who got a first start in the league. And in terms of our opponents, they lined up in a flat 4-3-3. It was Oxley in goal, a back four of Ramsey, O'Connor, McDonald and Gibson, a trio in front of the captain Josh Falkenham, Thompson and Matty Daly. And then it was Follerin and Odo tasked with flanking the returning Luke Armstrong after his summer transfer saga. First half, I thought we started really bright. The game was being played in the Harrogate half. I think we forced a really early chance, didn't we? There was a corner that came in that was blocked and it landed at Johnny Williams' feet. And we know from the midweek game, against Leyton Orient, where he hit that brilliant volley that was tipped over by the Orient keeper via the crossbar, that he can make sweet contact. He's technically good enough, and he did that again, but it was blocked in and around the 6-yard line. Whether it would have gone in, I'm not sure. Mark Oxley might have got across and kept it out, but it was an early warning sign across the bows of our visitors. And then there was more chances. I think there was a great little break from Scott Malone down the left, and he fizzed across into the 6-yard area. George Lapsley got in front of his man at the near post, but I think it hit him more than him being able to control it. Such was the pace of the ball in, and it went wide of the near post. And then, yeah, it was another chance for Scott Malone after about 10-15 minutes. Ball got clipped in from the right-hand side. I think it was from Shay Alexander. It got cleared. It then made its way out to Sean Williams, who picked a really good pass for Malone. And, yeah, set himself, had time, left-footed effort, was blocked by a defender. It went out for a corner, and I think Harrogate managed to defend the set piece really well. Yeah, that was the first 15 minutes in a nutshell. Gills trying to be offensive, Gills trying to play, Gills trying to get it down, not always getting it right, not by any stretch of the imagination. But then came the drinks break, such was the temperature of the game and the conditions it was being played in. And after that, I thought we struggled. The break certainly did Harrogate more good. I think Simon Weaver got into his players, told them to adjust how they were approaching the game, probably put more pressure on us. We couldn't string anything together after that for 10-15 minutes, from sort of 25 up to about 40. Harrogate kept the ball better, so credit them. They played the game more in our half. They slung balls into our box, which we defended fairly well. And I think that despite them having more ball, we weren't really challenged defensively. And Jake Turner certainly didn't have a save to make. And then there was another chance for us in the final few minutes of the half. I think it was Shay Alexander again. This was a really good ball to the back post, and Macaulay Bonne's movement was decent. It was one of the few times that he managed to escape the shackles of his markers, and he peeled off and headed a ball back down into the 6-yard box. George Lapsley got there in front of his centre half and was very aware that he probably couldn't get a shot off, so he just laid it off to the on-rushing Scott Malone, but he was sort of falling off balance, and the chance drifted just wide of Oxley's post. I think if it was inside the post, it was gone in, because I think the keeper was falling away to the other side, so the weight was all going the wrong way. But that chance came and went, and it was a familiar tale in terms of recent weeks, not scoring goals, and it was a 0-0 at the break. Second half started. There were no changes at the break from either side. Forgot to mention that Town had been forced into one substitution just before the interval. I think it was their captain, Josh Falkenham, had to be withdrawn due to an injury. But it was them that were on the front foot. And at the start of the second half, and they had their first shot in anger. I say anger in the loosest sense of the word. George Thompson, I think it was, took aim for about 20 yards. Looks like he's trying to curl it from outside to into the far post, but doesn't make a good enough contact. And Jake Turner fell on it comfortably, and we saw that danger away fairly easily. The game was then just drifting. There was not a lot happening for a period of time, a good sort of 10 minutes. It was hot. We know that as fans. Players would certainly have known that. I'd imagine it was hotter at pitch level than it was in the stands, and it was hot enough in the stands. So Neil Harris rolled the dice, and George Lapsley, who'd not had the best of game upon his return to the squad, unfortunately, looked like he was a little bit short of match fitness. Got into some good areas, was involved in that flurry of sort of chances / half chances first half. The one he put wide, running towards the near post where he was just doing his best to control the shot and guide it in. And then the little touch off for Scott Malone that nearly went in as well. But I just felt, again, similarly to his time with us, he just doesn't get enough of the ball in good areas. But it will come, I'm confident of it. He's a good player, George Lapsley, and we just need to see more of it. He was withdrawn. Jaden Clark came on, and he went to the side, and Johnny Williams reverted to the number 10 where he'd been so impressive in the week in the Papa John's Trophy win over Leyton Orient. And Jaden Clark was immediately in the action, broke away down the left-hand side within seconds of having his first touch, beat his man on the outside, drove into the box. There was a little chop back onto his right foot, and I thought, oh, here we go. Could be a similar sort of outcome to the goal he scored at Kenilworth Road in the League Cup not so long ago. But went back to the byline on his left foot and then tried to cut a ball back to the edge of the 6-yard box, which was cleared. There was another cross, I think, from Scott Malone that was headed wide of his own net by McDonald. We had a couple more corners and throw-ons, and we're trying to build some momentum, but without ever really picking the right pass or having that real bit of quality in the final third when it mattered the most. I think then there was a flurry of bookings. Sean Williams was rightfully cautioned for a professional foul. Their lad Ramsey was rightfully cautioned for stopping us taking a throw-in. And Conor Masterson was rightfully cautioned for pulling the lad back when he was trying to break over the halfway line. We then made more changes. Neil Harris was rolling the dice again. We took off Johnny Williams. We took off Macaulay Bonne. They both got through 68 minutes, and it was Ashley Naderzan and Tom Nichols who came on as more of a pair. We know that Tom can drop deeper into that sort of attacking midfield role if need be, and he was doing that at times. And shortly after Tom had come on, there was another half chance. I think we worked it from left to right. Eventually the ball got played out to Nichols wide on the right-hand side of the Harrogate box. We had a bit of an overload, and he's tried to fizz a ball across the 6-yard line, which I think McDonald was in the way of again, and I think he diverted it with his wrong foot, with his right foot. He should have gone with his left foot, but he got it out of play and out of danger, which is the main thing from a defensive point of view. And then Harrogate, I think, defended the corner fairly well. And then came the big delay. Shay Alexander goes to put a ball into a dangerous area, and it hits Sam Follering face area. And you see him go down at the time, and he tries to stand up and then goes back to the floor. Referee immediately signals for some medical personnel to come onto the pitch. Ended up being from both sides. Gills and Harrogate were on there. And it ended up being a lot longer of a delay than we thought it initially would be. Obviously the usual chance that you get when someone's injured. All in jest, I think, generally. Certainly all the time that you think it's not a serious injury, I would hope. But it ultimately ended up being like a 10-15 minute delay because Follering was in quite a bad way. He ended up being stretchered off. But the main thing is that he was back out on his feet after the game, walking around. I did see a tweet that said that he was okay, and thanks for the assistance from both clubs' medical teams. So main thing is that Sam Follering's okay. Obviously wasn't ideal for anyone being sat or stood around in that heat any longer than they had to be. And again, drifting, that's the word I use. The game was drifting because not a lot was happening. There were tired legs, tired minds. Crowd had gone flat because the performance had gone a bit flat or had been flat. But the board went up and showed 13 minutes, and suddenly there was renewed life in amongst the players and certainly the fans as well. The crowd got up, the atmosphere improved again. And suddenly the game was being played in the Harrogate third and the Harrogate half of the football pitch again. We was getting into good areas. We were creating opportunities to fling throw-ins into the box. We were getting crosses into the box. We were winning corners and set plays around the 18-yard area, albeit, again, without really extending Mark Oxley in the Harrogate goal. I did say to Ava during the match day live, I looked at her and she was hot, I was hot. We was all a bit frustrated and I said, it is coming, we're going to score. And there was another corner and Conor Maloney slung it in. I think it was right-footed out swinging from that Gordon Road side of the ground. We went up for a header, that was cleared. I think Conor Masterson tried to recycle possession. Shadogi got it out of his feet, had it blocked. It then fell to Tom Nichols' half volley, looked like it was blocked, potentially with an arm as well. So I think we might have gone up for a penalty shout if what happened afterwards didn't happen. But luckily, the block landed right at the feet of the skipper, Sean Williams, 3 yards from goal. He could not miss. Keeper was on the floor, having blocked the initial shot. Bedlam in the Rainham end. Relief around the ground. I think that not that we'd got away with one, because I think to get away with something, you have to have played a team that's created loads of clear-cut chances, where you've relied on your keeper lots to make loads of saves. They may have hit the crossbar, missed gilt-edge chances. Harrogate didn't do any of that. They had the drive from Thompson at the start of the half. They had one moment where Follering, before he went off, drove at Scott Malone, beat him for pace and flashed the ball across the 6-yard line, but no one got on the end of it and it stayed in play by the corner flag down the far end. Jake Turner's not been extended at all. He's come and claimed a couple of crosses and punched a couple of crosses. So I don't think we got away with it in a sense that we were ever in any danger of losing the football match. But there's certainly stuff that we need to work on. But like I say, from an offensive side, I mean there. But as tough a watch as it had been and as tough an afternoon as it had been, you cannot beat scoring in injury time to win a football match. You cannot beat scoring in injury time to win a football match that takes you to the top of the league as well. That's what we have to remember. And that chant swiftly went round the Rainham end and the ground. We then made a change to shore up. So Conor Mahoney was quickly withdrawn. Max Emo was called upon to go and make a 3 at the back alongside Ogie and Masterson to see out the final 5 of those 13 minutes. Harrogate again flung a couple of balls into our box. We defended them really well. And then we had another big chance. One of them crosses got cleared. I think Ashley Nadesan pinched it off the Harrogate midfielder and he was away. We know how quick Nadesan is. Over the halfway line, he was gone. Centre-backs are trying to get back in. You've got Jaden Clark and Tom Nichols busting a gut to try and keep up with Nadesan, but you're not catching him when he's off and at full tilt. Bears down on goal. It's him, Mark Oxley, looking into each other's eyes. Nadesan's done everything right to this point. Could he have squared it to Jaden or Tom? Potentially, looking at the highlights, but he gets a split second to make a decision. He goes for goal, and why not? He's earned that right by running 70 yards in blistering heat. Mark Oxley, you've got to give him credit. He stood up big and he beat it away. But what we did really well was we was alert and we then went and got the ball back and ran to the corner flag to run down time. That wasted more valuable seconds. Shortly afterwards, the final whistle went. Like I say, a mixture of relief and elation. Not relief in the sense that we were ever in any danger, but relief that we'd got over the line when we'd not been at our best. I remember Alex Ferguson saying years ago, the sign of a good team is winning when you're not at it. And we've done that a couple of times recently. I totally agree with people on Twitter that have said, you know, Grimsby was awful, 100%. Yesterday was patchy, bad at times, all right at others. Colchester, final half hour, was awful. We folded. We shouldn't have folded. And there's still this thing over Neil Harris about learning how to get us to chase games better when we do concede first. But if you look at us when we score the first goal, we've been brilliant. I think we've not lost when we scored the first goal under Neil Harris. And that's a run across about nearly 30 games. And I think it's around 23, 24 wins and a handful of draws. So when we're in front and we play the game with a lead, we're very good at seeing it out. But I saw some comments like worst performance in years. Like, I can't agree with that. Where were you for the first half of last season? Where were you for the majority of 21-22 when we got relegated out of League One? Where were you for AD Pennock's raid a few years ago? If you're lucky enough that you didn't see any of that and you've only been coming for the last 9 months, then lucky you. Been But yeah, like I say, I don't think we got away with it. There was relief that we got over the line. But I thought, as I've already said, there was only one side if a team was going to win it, and that was going to be us. Another interesting point that I just want to quickly touch on, and that was from listening to comments and shouts and discussions that you hear in the ground on a match day, was we've had this issue for ages. Max Emer's played a lot of games for this football club, and we know what he offers and we know what his shortcomings are. And Neil Harris come out a few weeks ago and said that Max needs to trust his own ability more because he's a better footballer than he sometimes thinks. Max wasn't in the team yesterday, so fans got what they wanted. They can't complain that Max Emer's going long all the time and trying to go from back to front too quickly. But at the same time, we had Connor Masterson and Shadrach Ogie as a pairing yesterday. Natural left foot, right foot partnership. Were keeping the ball. So they were going side to side. They were going out to their fullback. They were passing between each other, or they'd go to Sean Williams and then take it back off him if there's not a forward pass on. And then fans are screaming and shouting, get it forward. Hit the foot centre forward. Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't moan that you want Max Emer not to do it and then moan that we're not doing it quick enough. And then when we did do it, people are moaning at Macaulay Bonne and saying he's not winning enough. Well, Macaulay Bonne's not the biggest for a centre forward. So we have to make our mind up, surely, as fans, and go, well, if we want us to play a certain way, then let the team play a certain way. Don't moan that we're doing something a certain way. We change it, and then you moan about that as well, because that's not going to help anybody. Just something I noticed, and like I say, if you want to comment on it, then do so down below, or reply to me on Twitter or Facebook, that type of thing. It was just, like I say, it was something I picked up on. I just found it a little bit contradictory, some of the chants that I heard around us. But yeah, back to the game as a whole and whether we got away with it, I certainly don't think we did. From a defensive point of view, we had more ball, 51% to 49. We had more shots, 15 to 5. We had more shots on target, 4 to 2. We had more corners, 10 versus 2. We had more big chances, 3 versus 0. I think that would be the goal, the Scott Malone one, first half, and Ashley Nadesan when he drove through and went one-on-one with the keeper. Harrogate have not had a clear-cut chance or a big chance. Looking at the soccer, SofaScore app that I use that's driven, I think, by Opta Stats. 42% of the game was played in the Harrogate third and only 26 in ours. So the majority of the game has been played. And I was quite critical of the performance during the match day live. Maybe it was the heat, frustration, heat of the moment, that type of thing. But having had the benefit of a day, given all that we had to put up with, Harrogate coming to play for a point, I think, and sitting in, and that's fine. That's what you do when you go away from home against a side that's higher than you in the league, and you're probably going into a second favourites. No problem with that at all. The heat clearly played a factor. People can pretend it didn't, but if you've ever played football in that heat, you know it's energy sapping. And as soon as you get tired, then you make tired decisions. So credit us for continuing to keep going right to the 95th, 96th, 97th minute to score our goal, and then continually batting to the 100th, 11th, 112th, 113th minute to see the game out. It wasn't perfect. We've not been perfect all season. Has any club been perfect in the history of the game? We were very good in certain games. Stockport, Southampton, Accrington, Sutton for me. Crawley, I think draw would have been a fair result. Colchester was nothing in it for an hour. Grimsby, we were awful. Yesterday, like I said, patchy. But what we did well was we made sure that we didn't lose the football match by keeping a clean sheet. And then it always gives you a chance to go win the football match, which is what we ultimately ended up doing. I think what I'm trying to say is, let's try and enjoy it. We're top of the league. We've taken 5 wins from 7 in this league. We've got 15 points from 21. I know you can't live in the past, but again, if you compare where we were not so long ago, it took us until January the 14th to get to 15 points last season, which is when we went from 14 to 17, having beat Hartlepool at the Priestfield, the first game that the new Gallinson players could take part in. So let's enjoy it. We are top of the league and we still can improve. And for me, that's quite exciting and a big positive, because it means we've probably still got gears to go through. There were 6 of that team that started against Harrogate that were either not regulars or not even at the club last season. So not everything's going to be rosy straight away, but we're finding a way. And the teams that ultimately go and win the prizes always tend to find a way. Right, That is enough from me. I appreciate you watching this far, as always. Apologies again that it's just me this week. Unfortunately, Rhys is busy and I couldn't get hold of a Harrogate fan to join me at a time that was convenient to them. And that's the way of the world. People have lives outside of football. Thanks for watching. Please keep continuing to do all that you do. Liking, subscribing, retweeting, sharing, commenting, discussing. That's what it's all about, as long as it's done the right way. I say that all the time. I did say I didn't have any guests, but I have got one little person who wants to come on and say something. Star of the show, who's becoming more famous than me. Ava, what are we?
Massive.
Ava, where are we?
Top the league.
Up the Gills.